Good morning and good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to a new webinar organized by Johan Cruyff Institute, this time in association with the Johan Cruijff ArenA. There was a time when buying a ticket to go see a match, it meant to enjoy the game and with a little bit more time and money, perhaps take advantage of the trip to take a tour of the stadium. It was as simple as that, but we were talking about the past. Today, the user experience starts before leaving home, and the range of entertainment offered by a sports facility is getting richer and richer. The Johan Cruijff ArenA was the first multifunctional stadium in Europe and has always been a reference when we think of smart stadiums. The complex has been adapting new technologies and strategies to be more than a stadium, a true living lab for stadiums and also for the City of Amsterdam. My name is Gemma, and it's a pleasure for us to have today here Sander van Stiphout, Innovation Program Manager and Director of the Consultancy Branch of the Johan Cruijff ArenA. Sander has worked on stadium projects worldwide and has been involved in projects related to all recent major tournaments, such as the Russia and Brazil World Cups. He was also a stadium operations consultant to the Qatar Supreme Committee, supporting them in the FIFA World Cup 2022 preparations. Sander will elaborate on how the Johan Cruijff ArenA became a truly innovative stadium in terms of management, safety, and fan engagement, and how the coronavirus even accelerated their innovation program. Sander, very welcome, and thanks for joining us in this session.
Thank you. Glad to be here. Thanks.
Sander, before giving you the floor, just let me remind everyone that if anybody have any technical issues, we will be happy to assist you through the chat tab located on the right side of the screen. And you can use the question tab to type your questions to Sander, and I will address them to him after the presentation. We will have around 20 minutes for the Q&A. So Sander, the floor is yours.
Well, thank you, Gemma. Thank you very much. We're also proud to have Cruyff Institute as an innovation partner in our ecosystem. So it's glad to work with you and with everyone involved. Yes, well, the program of this webinar, I will give a brief introduction about the stadium, where we come from, give you a bit of the context regarding innovation and share our strategy. As Gemma announced, what did we do with COVID? Of course, the world has come to a standstill. We had to reinvent a lot of our processes. So how did that work? Give some examples and at the end, some takeaways. And that's pretty much it. Should take indeed around 45 minutes or so. This is a very old picture of the venue, still under construction, 25 years ago. This year is going to be our 25th anniversary. It's a public-private partnership of which the City of Amsterdam and Ajax are the most important shareholders, and furthermore we have private entities as shareholders as well. It was an initiative of Ajax and the city to build the stadium, and they came together in this PPP, so to speak. The stadium is positioned back then in the outskirts of the city to move away the larger entertainment venues from the center of the city towards this new borough, so to speak, connected with Amsterdam southeast to create jobs in that area. Right now we are, the home of Ajax, obviously, that Ajax being our main lessee, and it's our job to host the matches with them, and do that in a safe and secure way, and make sure that the building is up to standards. It's a 55,000 seater, retractable roof, very multifunctional from its beginning. We host, depending on the success of Ajax and how many Dutch national team matches there are, we host up to 30 matches a year, and then some other large-scale events. Ajax sells out quite a bit. It's a very popular team in the Netherlands and over the borders as well. So the occupancy rate is very high. Well, besides football matches, we do host other international events. Well, we usually do, I should say. Of course, in these days, everything is different. But in the hope and expectation that we, come back to a normal situation, we hope to see this picture again. Looks a little bit surreal today, but well, we're moving in the right direction, I think. Besides that, we are, giving advice to other stadiums. Gemma mentioned it in the introductions that worked on different World Cup stadiums, both on the initiation stage, where the project still has to be formed, the stage where the designers are doing their work. So we review the designs. We did so, for example, for the Qatar 2022 stadiums. And also we support establishing the operational organization, something we did in 2 World Cup venues in Brazil, among which the stadium in Salvador, which is shown here at the picture. Very different picture from the one I showed just a minute ago, where you saw a very empty area and in the middle a stadium. This is how the area looks today. With the stadium as its centerpiece, surrounded by large entertainment venues such as the Ziggo Dome, which is a 20,000-seater indoor arena, the AFAS Live, a 5,000-seater, and the Pathé, which is pretty much the largest cinema in the Netherlands. There are also some large retail. Look at Media Market and the amount of visitors they attract on a yearly basis, and the Villa ArenA, a furniture mall. And that area is surrounded by offices. So right now, a very thriving area. What you don't see in the picture is the highways. So we are very well connected to the Dutch highway system. And what you do see is the train station very close by. And there's actually several train stations and metro stations close by. So it's a relatively, compared, of course, to other stadiums in the world, a very accessible venue. We make an operational profit, obviously not this year, but and also not last year, but usually we do, and we give out a bit of a dividend, and besides that, our profit we have to, that is our mission statement, we reinvest in the building to keep it up to standards and to also be able to change with the perception of quality in society, so to speak. Over time we have enlarged our business areas, and this project we did several years ago. It's on the east side of the stadium, and on your left side of the picture, it's a bit of a technical drawing where you see the green part. That is the newly created area. You see that there's a tremendous amount of square meters, giving a better quality to the restaurant on top of the first tier, but also to everyone that has a seat on the second tier, which for whom we created quite a great area, actually, a very light area as well. This is, of course, what we are very well capable of, and reinvesting and starting these kind of projects. One of the challenges that came about over the years is, how do we support the fan experience? How do we support mobility? All of these like soft challenges. How can we create value and create progress? And those are difficult domains, because obviously it is Ajax that hosts the matches, and we facilitate, and it is the Dutch national team, and it's a concert promoter. So we very much link into their needs and offer the best services. So that makes it a little bit challenging as such. And to prepare for that future, we went into over time we sort of found ourselves in a specific strategy. A strategy, obviously, is not made up beforehand, but it grows over time. So we went from that multifunctional venue with also, honestly speaking, with all the issues and challenges we had with making sure the grass grows in an almost indoor climate in 1995. Over time, overcoming those challenges to, I think it was around 2013, where we closed the deal with the City of Amsterdam to become a sustainability icon for the city. The city asked us to do so, and they actually did ask that question to every single entity that they had a stake in. And we took that very seriously. We brought the ecosystem together. We start working on, the chain that relates to creating garbage, how to improve, and we start working on energy. I will share that in a little while. And that was a successful approach. It fit us very well because, as I have shown in the picture of the stadium with the surrounding venues, I mean, our jurisdiction is only to the facade of the building. So if we want to improve things, perhaps outside the venue, we have to engage with all the stakeholders involved. So stakeholder management is basically in the core of our business. It's in our DNA. So that approach of bringing stakeholders together and creating progress was actually fitting us very well. We made that more mature, and right now we are more about creating impact. We're linking that also with goals of the City of Amsterdam, and I will further explain. Again, a picture of the venue with the close surroundings. We started to recognize that it was actually quite powerful to also use it as a field lab. To invite partners, commercial partners, to use the venue for testing purposes. On one side, testing things technically, but also testing things commercially under certain conditions, of course, when there are people around, inside or outside the venue. And that we got a lot of momentum there with several of the commercial partners. So that was definitely a way to go. What we did more recently is we closed a new deal with the City of Amsterdam to make sure that they are also going to use that field lab. You could say that the stadium is a small city, right? I mean, it's very funny enough. If there are 55,000 people in the stands, it has a lot of aspects that you also see in a city. When there's nobody there, it has the infrastructure, but it doesn't have the people. So it gives you the opportunity to test drive things technically and then also commercially. So the city adopted it also as a field lab and actually reach out to us very actively with all kinds of projects to see if we can learn a lesson in the stadium surroundings and in the stadium itself. And I will give you some examples in a little while. If you look at what the mission statement is of our innovation initiative as such, it's now redefined, and we said, well, become the best stadium in the world, or be the best stadium that you can be, and support the mothership, so to speak, and also drive a positive impact on society. And we found the Sustainable Development Goals as a very useful tool to create, let's say, a common language especially among corporates, I should say, to see, if, let's say, a beer brand such as Heineken that has a mission statement like brewing a better world, and they're actually focusing on sustainability. How can we leverage that and see, can we bring them in touch with partners that have solutions in place that could support that goal? And that's how we're trying to create new projects. One of the ways to create new projects. So how does that look? A little bit of a process slide, but I'm going to present it from bottom to top. The focus areas for us, and they definitely link in to our business objectives, are sustainability, inclusivity, safety, security, visitor engagement, sports and health, and smart building and city. And the latter, being the connectivity platform, but also becoming a building that is very much data driven in its maintenance, and therefore trying to limit the costs as well. So those are, let's say, our themes that we work on a daily basis, regardless this innovation initiative, but we modeled it as such. These link into a little bit the, so to speak, broader, societal challenges. And I'll take an example. Sustainability links into accelerated transition towards renewable energy. Of course, sustainability is much more than that, and I'll explain in a little while what we do on sustainability, and it has a strong focus on energy, hence the choice for specifically this wording. Safety and security links into ensure safe and healthy public gatherings. Of course, very, in COVID times, very relevant, because, we have to reinvent how we meet each other. And lessons learned in the stadium definitely help also the City of Amsterdam how to manage parks and other potential busy areas in the city. So that is the way that works. And then on the top, you see the link with the purpose of specific companies as well, that link with the Sustainable Development Goals. And for very specific interest, on the top right, there's the donut of Kate Raworth, who says, economic growth is not a solution to our problems. We have to, analyze new projects by the fact how they contribute to society in the sense of, a social system, education, etc., and how can we do that by limiting the effect on the environment. And the inside of the donut is you do too little, on the social side, and the outside of the donut you do too much on the environment. You basically hurting the environment. So you have to be the dough of the donut. That is very popular in Amsterdam, adopted by the City of Amsterdam. So that's why we adopted it as well. So innovation initiatives. So how do we organize ourselves? We're focusing on three things: collaborate, innovate, and accelerate. It's a matter of presentation, of course, but collaborate is within that ecosystem. Beneficiaries on top being, Ajax, the Dutch Football Federation, IDNT as a concert promoter, the city, and National Police, UEFA, being the key beneficiaries. Then the corporate partners, large ones like Microsoft, KPMG, but also the dominant Dutch telco, KPN, Signify, a large bank like ABN AMRO, and TNO as the large Dutch research institute. Honeywell we have there as well, and Ballas Nedam and BAM are large Dutch contractors. And then we see, of course, also Cruyff Institute as one of our network partners and our knowledge partners as well. On the bottom, you see the scale-up partners. Those are the small and medium-sized enterprises and startups that we engage with, and some of them are presented here. And part of the ecosystem is, of course, the fan or the citizen of the city. And our job is pretty much how to link everyone to everyone on relevant domains, and therefore trying to create projects. But because one thing I didn't share, if you would like to, we would like to be on the forefront of developments. That is our ambition. And to be on the forefront, you can do in different ways. Either you open up a large budget and you start buying whatever is out there and seems relevant. But you can also be, and that's what we do, trying to be more, a little bit smarter. We don't have that big bag of budget. So therefore, we're trying to ignite partnerships and stimulate them to use the stadium as a field lab, showcase whatever they have to offer to the world, and link that with the societal impact goals that there are. Then on the bottom is basically the field lab facility, the stadium. Of course, if you want to be ready to host experiments and you proclaim to be data driven, we have to organize our data very well, which it took some time, but which we do reasonably well right now. We have a data lake that's very accessible. If you would like to do a project in the stadium, then you actually reach out to us, you share your plans. There's a whole project and data governance process involved. We sign the contracts and off you go. And of course, I mean, there's all kind of conditions involved, etc. I don't go into detail right now, but the process is there. And we have the opportunity to sometimes really showcase a solution and create some publicity for our partners. On the left side is the challenges that we do every now and then to get in touch with the right scale-up partners and the right SMEs. And I will share that also in the examples. So how does that work in practice? Sustainability, already mentioned in the beginning, being ignited by the City of Amsterdam that challenged us. We went into the nitty-gritty of our energy supply, for example, and we analyzed everything. We shifted to city heating and cooling, linked with a windmill to get green energy, put solar panels on the roof, implemented LED lighting. We did the things we thought we needed to do, and that actually our energy usage of our carbon footprint of our energy use went back to zero in 2015 already, actually. However, there was one challenge left, and that is the challenge of having those diesel generators in the stadium when there is a large event. And of course, the carbon footprint of that diesel generator is definitely dominant. So we started a project that ultimately led to this huge energy storage that we have operational since a bit over 2 years. We did that with the partners there. These are actually consisting of pretty much 150 mostly second-hand Nissan Leaf car batteries that we gave a second life. So there's numerous aspects that actually are good for the environment, and it offers us the backup power supply that we are looking for. The World Economic Forum picked up that message and actually has a very nice informative movie about it, and that is the link that you see on the top of your screen. Having this asset now, and the business case of this asset is, in fact, it's not only to have that backup power, right? Because it's only in limited use then. But if we do not use it as a backup power, we lease the asset to the grid operator, and the grid operator uses it to balance the grid. And besides that, it does also do some peak shaving for us, so it lowers our energy bill in general also. So that's pretty much the business case behind it. In Holland in 2018, this was very new, and in fact today it's still very new. And having that asset attracts other partners and attracts other initiatives as well. So very recently, just a couple of weeks ago, we were, as part of a larger consortium, we were granted EU subsidy, the European Union subsidy, to come up with a management system for a local energy grid in which the energy storage plays its role. So what happens if our energy storage also gives energy to the Ziggo Dome or to other buildings surrounding the stadium? So then you get a local energy grid, but then the Ziggo Dome can actually give us energy, or we give energy to the Ziggo Dome. So how do you deal with that? How do you manage that? How do you deal with financial compensation or compensation in general? So those are all questions that are not yet solved. So the next 4 years, a management system will be developed. And it shows how a whole ecosystem of new partners is being activated and become active in and around the venue. Well, safety and security, very important domain, ever since, of course, the opening of the venue. One project I would like to pick out, it's actually not a project, it's numerous projects, and that is the digital perimeter. When we host events or when we host a large tournament like this summer, and when there's a lot of people, hopefully, coming to the stadium, there's a lot of fences there. Also because we don't have an outer perimeter. As said, our jurisdiction goes up until the facade of the building. So what our vision is that over time, and it's not tomorrow, and it's also next year, and it will take time, that we actually move from a fenced perimeter to a digital perimeter. And with that vision, we got the city enthusiastic as well as the national police. And national police now uses the building and the surrounding area as their field lab to test drive new technical solutions that help police officers to do their job better, with less risk and more efficiently. Examples like body cams that are being used that run on 5G, because we have a 5G test frequency as the venue, is just an example. And there are numerous other examples as well. So their roadmap is definitely linked now to the stadium, and it helps us because it makes the surrounding area safer during match days as well. And it helps the police for obvious reasons, because the lessons learned help them to implement it across the country. Well, one specific example I like to mention also, because we are in a sport environment, obviously. IoT is sometimes something that needs explanation. Internet of Things. Our almost most connected item in the stadium is the pitch. We have sensors, weather sensors on top of the roof. We know the position of the roof. There's weather sensors inside the venue. We drive with sensors over the pitch. We have sensors inside the pitch. We measure the quality of the pitch. And we do everything because we believe in a very data-driven approach, a data-driven maintenance of the pitch. So we have to grasp that data. We have to visualize the data, learn from it, get insights from it, and continuously improve our maintenance procedures. And this is especially the case because, well, it's a multifunctional venue, right? So we host events, also during the football season every now and then. So that means Ajax plays a match, there's a concert, we have to cover the pitch, and then we uncover the pitch. We have to bring the quality up to top level so that Ajax can play their match. And that is always a challenge, and therefore there's still a lot to learn. And our vision is that we do that in a data-driven way, and therefore we develop dashboarding, etc., and tooling and algorithms to be able to do our work better. Yeah. Yes, and then COVID hit, right? No further explanation on that, but everything changed, everything stopped, from an innovation side, it became very interesting times, because we are being approached very quickly by all kinds of suppliers, and I'm sure if you work for a club or for a venue, you will recognize this. Because everyone sees the opportunity to do something for a football club and to get publicity out of it. And so we are also being approached by many companies, and we thought, well, we have to structure this. And we structured it also by working actually with a number of partners in football, with Ajax, with the Dutch FA, with City Football Group, with UEFA. KPMG helped us to structure this approach. And this challenge, as we call it, is actually partly financed by the European Union in their specific program for regional development. And the goal was to find solutions, but not to go out there and find them yourselves, but vice versa. So how can we make sure that solution providers find us? And let me first share the different challenges that we posed, because they are on a very high level. It's, regarding at-home fans. Yeah, why at home? Because of course all the stadiums were closed. We're talking now in April, May. The stadiums were mostly closed. And how to engage fans when they are at home. Operational excellence, a lot of operational issues. For matches behind closed doors, but also expecting to be to reopen at some point in time. How do you do that? How do you create time slots? I mean, there's tons of operational challenges to be overcome. So, tooling was very welcome. Excellent stadium experiences. Well, if people come back to the stadium, it's going to be a bit of a hassle because, there's, I said, time slots are there. Perhaps they have to get tested beforehand, so it becomes a bit of a burden. So how can we lighten that burden and implement some cool fan experience solutions? And then amateur and recreational football engagement. This is especially for federations. Of course, they saw numbers drop. So how can you actually make sure that engagement levels stay up and people stay enthusiastic to play football? So those are the challenges. There was a big marketing campaign on LinkedIn. A lot of solutions came in. We made it quite easy to offer that solution on the platform, to submit it on the platform. Presentations were added, and then conversations started with relevant people in each participating organization, either a commercial person from Manchester City or a people from match organization of Ajax, or whoever is mostly linked into that solution. So the conversation started with the goal to get a clear view of what's being offered, and also to get a motivational choice whether or not to choose such a specific solution. After around 2 months, we picked out around 27 solutions that we thought are most relevant, or there were others that are relevant as well, but the 27 we picked out with all the stakeholders. Interesting was that the platform became very popular. There was almost 1,500 people register on the platform. It was an open platform, so it was not just for the organization that I just presented, but for everyone to learn. In fact, for everyone to participate in the conversations. That was done, extensively, I would say. And in that sense, the goal was also to serve football as such. It was a very international crowd that was active. Solutions came from all over the world. And as said, ultimately we picked out 27. I would say out of those 27, around 20 did either deliver their services or piloted their services with one of the partners. And I would share some examples. I cannot go into detail of every single example, of course, because then we run out of time. But first, and this was actually a solution that came out of a challenge before Reimagine Football, is Secutix, adopted by Ajax, of course, for obvious reasons, for commercial reasons, to be able to facilitate the digital ticketing, to get a more personalized approach, to perform micro-marketing, prevent black trade, obviously, and also create other commercial opportunities. Important there is that from commercial reasons, you want to know the occupant of each seat, right? And that, of course, came in very handy when COVID hit, because there you need to know, and it was by law, we were obliged to ask all the triage questions, such as, are you healthy? Have you been in touch with people that were ill, etc.? We had to ask all those questions to everyone that wanted to visit the match when we were able to open up over the summer. And here you see it in the mobile, the code will be available 4 hours before the match and after those questions were answered correctly. And if not, then you could, hand over your ticket to someone else who then needed to identify himself or herself. So that was actually already in place, and it was very much facilitating also access over the summer. Now we are in a new time. This is a message of, it's a Dutch message announcing new test facilities specifically for events. This is a message of a week ago. There's an application of the government that shows up green and gives you a QR code when you are tested negatively. And then you have to, of course, show your ticket, and then you can enter the venue when we're allowed to do so. So it's a new, and of course you would like to link those two initiatives together, but that's under research. Then healthy building and stands. Well, one of the winners of Reimagine Football was also Signify with the UVC technology. On your left side, this is a UVC cleaning the air that goes around in a specific room. And on the right side, you see toilets that actually the center toilet is being cleaned, and the toilet on the left and right are already clean. You see a red light because this is actually, to keep people safe and out. And as soon as you open the door, of course, the lighting stops. We're going to test this solution. I mean, this is a picture of the stadium. We're going to test it as soon as we are allowed people back in. We're hosting a aerosol behavior research in the stadium stands. The aerosols are the carrier of the coronavirus. So not each aerosol does, but the amount of aerosols in the air could give you some indication. The University of Eindhoven runs this program together with a number of consortium partners. And what they're testing is, what is their behavior? What are the levels of aerosols in the air? How can we filter the air? And how can we explain how many aerosols are in the air? And then validate that with actual people. This is currently going on, and this is a scientific research that is going to be published in the next month or so. Then a more technical, solution that we adopted is Calculus. Is a platform that enables us to very quickly connect different data sources and give insights in a presentable way. This example, it's about the amount of people in a specific business area, and also the climate, because now we have to look at the climate conditions in each and every room very meticulously, obviously. So we would like to get this insight to be able to offer that safe environment. Then a lot has to do, of course, with monitoring behavior. We have since years an operational mobility center in place in the stadium, from where we actually organize traffic in the surrounding area of the venue. When I say we organize traffic, we don't do that ourselves, obviously, because there's others responsible for it. And we do so, we support this under the guidance of the city. And bringing all these people together in one room already improves cooperation, but also giving them new insights on the data provided. Definitely, we created a lot better situation, and the travel times became less. So these lessons learned, we now also use in the city, supporting them in their program with the sort of reverse question, because where can you go in the city where it's easy to keep your 1.5 meter distance? So this is, you would like to send people to areas where it's not crowded, basically, instead of organize a crowd. So these are programs we now support for the city. During the summer, we did a communication program. Ajax was involved, and the city, because the city has a big worry. When people go to a match, they gather in the city. So, and that whole trip from the city to the stadium is of their concern, obviously. The text on this billboard is even vrijlopen, which means something like open up, look for free space, or I can pass you the ball. So it's sort of a funny, between brackets, way to stimulate people to keep that social distance. Well, in the stadium tours, we're working with COVID buzzers, we call them. They actually go off when you are not keeping your social distance. This is a solution that is difficult to do, of course, with 55,000 people, but in the tours, it already gives us some interesting insights on how people behave. Together with TNO, we monitor social distancing. they developed a technology to, and on the top left you see a picture where you can see whether or not people kept a social distance. Obviously, the red squares show where social distance was not kept. That doesn't say so much yet, but on the bottom left, it shows for how much time people didn't keep their social distance. When you know that, then you can actually link this into operational measures and link this also in communicating with stewards whether or not and when to address specific people and talk to them about their behavior. This technology is now being operationalized by an offspring of TNO, Studio Automated, that is now also part of the ecosystem. With safety and security things, we're trying to investigate, what kind of applications are useful and help us in our operation. What they offer is a platform that runs on a camera and that enables you to upload apps to each and every camera. So it gives you a lot of flexibility. There's already apps with face mask detection, social distancing, and so on, and queue measuring and management. And we are, as soon as we get the opportunity, are going to test drive a couple of these applications to see how they can, and if they can, support us in our operation. Then Close is a very interesting solution. It's now being used in field labs across the country. And it is actually a social media. It's a sort of social media platform that enables you to micro-target specific groups of people that are going to visit a match or an event. All the people in section so-and-so get a specific message. And we were very much in need of such a solution because there is so much information to send to everyone who buys a ticket. And you cannot do that by WhatsApp individually because it becomes a nightmare. So this solution actually supports this and enables us and the match organizers to give information, practical information, and on the other side also give information like the lineup of the match and of the teams. So it can mix practical and let's say fun information together. Well, learning and facilitating learning was definitely, we were in need because, of course, I mean, you're gonna reinvent, all your processes, or not reinvent, but you have to review all the different processes. And COVID, in that sense, accelerated, I would say, the digitalization of event management as such. And here are two examples. We're working with companies that are involved with digital match day briefings and a logbook that is from a different level that actually gives us much better insights and much better data so that we can analyze it better and facilitate those learning processes. Fan experience, of course, very, many examples. Just I'm going to share two. One is iExpo. It's a very specific one because this is, where also the cooperation of Ajax and ArenA came into play because Ajax obviously sells most of the tickets. And we offer, VIP catering. So this is how we organize it in our venue. So how can we link that better together so that we can facilitate more upselling? iExpo, the platform, enables us to do so, and hopefully that will help in the near future to make that more accessible and make it easier for all the fans to take in additional services such as parking or catering. The last one I would like to share is Vogo. And Vogo enables the people in the stands to make use of the different camera feeds that the broadcaster offers. and that enables you obviously to look at a replay from a reverse angle or to revisit a specific moment in the match. Both Ajax and the Dutch Football Federation adopted this. Ajax also adopted it inside the app, so they're already quite far in implementing this. It has been implemented, in fact, and it's our goal now to see how can we find partners that could even enrich these feeds give more technical information. For example, we're talking with Game On this because they're good at that. And then perhaps when the rules allow, also share the VAR feeds, or these are things that we're trying to find the right partners for, and trying to get them in touch with these with Vogo and with Ajax, with the KNVB, to see how we could potentially facilitate that from our role, so that they can adopt it and offer more value to the fan. Yeah, I'm coming to the end of my presentation. I think well, I sort of bombarded you with a lot of examples in the end, but the key messages that I would like to give is that obviously the stadium can be used as a field lab. It is a venue that is, per definition, and this goes for every single stadium in the world, underused. So therefore, we're always looking for ways to increase the usage of the venue, and that's we found this way to be useful on one side on creating progress and come up with new solutions that help us in our challenges, and on the other side offer also societal impact to one of the key stakeholders, in this case the City of Amsterdam, and they can take that beyond even the city. So I think that approach is interesting. It works well for us. It also works well because it's a way that we activate our ecosystem, and the ecosystem partners and the discussions we have with them, they focus on several things. Is how can we create societal value together? How can we also show that? How can we use true value technology to really show the impact of that energy storage, for example? It's quite a study to touch upon that. It's not just financial, CO2 footprint, it's accelerating the energy transition. There's many aspects to it, creates jobs. And beyond that, the business value, how can we create more business for partners, offer the stadium as a field lab, offer cultural value by bringing the ecosystem together in meetings, virtual, live, to find new ways and to find new cooperations and projects, and obviously help also in showcasing these solutions and creating publicity for the partners. So this is how we activate these partnerships. Of course, clubs have great ways to activate partnerships. I think this could be an addition also to activate current partnerships or find new ones. It does so with us, and I think in the future, activation it's already of tremendously importance, but it becomes more and more important as we go. And ultimately, this whole strategy, this whole approach helps us to become, a better venue, and therefore it supports our core. I put my email address there, so if you want to reach out, one-on-one, please feel free to do so. And I would like to end with an announcement of the Netherlands versus Letland. Is a match that's going to take place next week, Saturday. The message came out yesterday. We got the confirmation. There will be 5,000 people in the stands. We're allowed to have to host 5,000 people in the stands. It's going to be a part of the field lab approach that is in place in the Netherlands. So a lot of experiments take place in different sections in the stadium. Everyone needs to be tested beforehand, and then goes in the stadium and helps us with specific tests that take place, so that the learnings become available as well. And also the government, gets more trust and confidence that we can host, and I mean the whole football community, can host matches in a safe way, and obviously this also gives us some hope, light at the end of the tunnel, I would say, that we can host matches with spectators for Euro 2020 that is coming up soon. So fingers crossed on that. This is pretty much it, and I give the floor back to you, Gemma, and thanks.
Thank you, Sander. I didn't know about the match, so good luck for the event. It's gonna be really nice to watch how is the experience. So yeah, Sander, let's start with the questions. We've got quite a few during your speech. The first one comes from Dashon. I think it's more an opinion, but maybe you can give us your opinion about that. He says, what are the best stadiums designers in your opinion?
Well, there's actually quite a few. I mean, well, there's a long list actually of good stadium designers. I wouldn't, if I name two, then I exclude others. So that's difficult to do. But if you look at recent stadiums and who has designed them, then you come up with a very good list. Maybe you can reach out individually, and I can give you a small list. That's obviously fine.
Sure. Another question is, when do you expect 5G capabilities will completely change stadium experiences?
Yeah, well, in each and every country, 5G is, of course, has almost a different time frame of adoption, let's say, and timing. I think it will take a little while still, because right now it's not widely available yet, at least not in the Netherlands, and some countries are further ahead. And can already offer a lot of services on 5G. We're not there yet, but I think in a couple of years' time, it will definitely be the case. And 5G offers not only fan experience opportunities, but also safety and security opportunities because of the guaranteed bandwidth for security officials, for example. And we are test driving now actually quite a few solutions also on 5G, current solutions, but then also on 5G. Vodafone, for example, the example that I mentioned, did some tests in the venue on 5G already to see how you can provide the service, but not break any regulations, because if you make footage available outside the stadium, you're breaking the law in that sense. So I think a couple of years time still, but the market is preparing, and maybe I can use this opportunity also. If you are a solution provider or you know any, and you would like to do some tests on 5G, we could potentially host that. So then please reach out to me.
Mm-hmm. Talking about COVID-19, Thomas said, what kind of adjustments need you to do for this year already and ongoing?
For this year, I mean, if you look at there's all kinds of processes that are now in place to host matches with a limited amount of fans. We hosted some Ajax matches and national team matches in over the summer with a maximum of around let's say 10,000 people back then, which means everyone can keep their social distance. All the processes became a little bit different though. There were time slots when you come in. When you come in, you could get some catering, then you go to your stand, to your seat. So it became very specific for that time. Right now for Netherlands versus Letland that's coming up, it's going to be very different. Actually, everyone needs to be tested beforehand. So with that test result, you come to the front, you come to the entrance of the stadium. You show your ticket and you go in. So that means there are two checks that needs to be done. So that's not very handy, but that's right now the case. So it's a double check. So how to organize that? How can you make sure that your personnel is safe? What kind of measures are there to make sure that they're safe? At this moment in time, by Dutch regulations, you cannot enforce that everyone is being tested yet. So that offers also a challenge. So there's a lot of things to overcome. Mainly processes there. We're looking a little bit in our innovation side more on the medium to long term changes by offering that healthy building, and what do we need to do in our ventilation? How do we measure that? When do we take which measure? What kind of technology can support it? UVC, where can it support? Should we hang it everywhere, or so what kind of investments would it take? I mean, there's a lot of questions that need to be answered that cannot be answered like right now, but that we are now in that very steep learning curve, implementing, piloting, and then finding our way in preparing for the future.
Mm-hmm. Jim is asking, how do you have or you want to improve Johan Cruyff ArenA by working data-driven?
How? Well, I think there's many ways to be more data-driven. I think if you look at it from let's say a conventional maintenance side, then that is very protocol-driven. If a specific stadium part, whatever it is, it has been there for 3 years, it has to be replaced. It would be better actually to measure, whether or not it needs to be replaced. So we would like to measure much more in the building, which we're already doing, but reach the next level in this, and then plan our maintenance, and it proves that can be much more economical. So therefore, we can lower our cost level. This is a very high-level explanation, of course, but that's pretty much how the general consensus, and also what the numbers show.
Mm-hmm. Victor De Bruin is asking, what are the revenue possibilities when there is no activity going on in the main venue? And because this is a challenge for a lot of indoor sport venues.
Well, I try to give one, and that is also using the venue as a field lab. I'm not saying that works for everyone and for every location, and whether it's a sports venue or a theater, but it could help. And for us, I mean, we got a whole ecosystem of partners that actually contribute financially to use the stadium, the facilities, the data, our team that supports them and giving them feedback to improve their services. And therefore we deliver let's say a new service, besides doing what we always did, which is hosting, which is the core, which is hosting matches, events, conferences, tours, etc. Besides that, this is for us, it's a business model as well. So that's one. And for the rest, it's difficult times, and I don't have the magic the magic solution there. So.
Of course. Fernando Vargas asks, does the government, national or regional, have supported financially the development of some of the solutions that you applied?
There is I take it one step back, and there's a big, like everywhere, a big support program from the government towards companies to cover for the cost of personnel, etc. This is something we also make very gratefully use of. There are some that they contribute in a way that if the government asks us to test drive something, and it serves a purpose, and then they also contribute, but it's very project based. It depends really on the project. So it's not like, I mean, it's not these are not huge numbers financially.
So Dashon says that the local businesses can help build, especially non-profit organizations around the community. What would those values bring with a smart stadium today in the UK?
Sorry, I missed that question.
If local businesses could help the smart stadiums, could help the smarter stadiums in terms of innovation and to apply new solutions.
Yes, I think they can do, especially. What we are trying to do is we're trying to ignite innovation and also organize funding for it, right? So we have had several subsidies to be able to distribute budget among small and medium-sized enterprises to make efficient use of our building and of our personnel, to give them the feedback so that they can grow and they can be successful with the solution that they offer. And obviously that can be the world is small nowadays, so it can be all across the world, all over the world, but especially also smaller companies that are locally present. They are often well aware of the local situation, so that definitely could help. So I think, yes, igniting the local, you can tap into a complete new group of small and medium-sized enterprises locally, I think.
Peter Dallas says, it's been an excellent presentation, and clearly your partnership with Amsterdam City is key. So he asks, how often do you meet with city representatives, and do you share any revenue streams with the city?
We meet with the city officials very often because in the different programs that we run, the programs that I shared in the beginning of the presentation, such as inclusivity and safety and security and visitor engagement and so on. So we have regular meetings where we actually also physically bring the ecosystem together. The city is a very active participant and also gives direction in some cases. If we would like to. If we are after a specific solution to solve an issue, and they say, well, if you do it a little bit different, then it also helps us. Then and this way we were trying to create these partnerships. So they're a very active partner in this. Yeah.
Rui Marquez says that the Johan Cruyff ArenA is a covered stadium. So do you think that this has brought advantages? And if so, should that also be a driven factor for future stadia around the world?
A very good question, Rui. I know him actually quite well. I think, for us it was great because therefore we could host a lot of other events as well. People tend to be not so comfortable in the rain, so we became sort of the preferred venue for the larger concerts. And in that sense, that is definitely helpful. The honest answer is also, you have to always balance the additional investment of that retractable roof versus the additional revenue it can generate through other events and football. And that is a choice that has to be made in each project individually.
Mauro says that what is the reason that clubs prefer to lease rather than have their own stadium?
Well, it's a good question. It's also I don't know if it can also very much be the other way around as well. So yeah, I think, let's put it this way: if the pros for leasing are that, of course, that as a football club, you don't have to worry about all the maintenance and so on, and you can focus more on the core business, and that is creating the best possible team, creating the best or the most marketing revenues, etc., and leave the rest up to a stadium that you just lease. There are other insights as well where football teams say, I would like to own my own venue because I think I can get more revenue out of it. So that there's different insights and different opinions within the football community.
Sander, you said, innovation has been growing up through the years, you said during the presentation, but what has been the biggest disruptive innovation for the ArenA so far? What would you say?
I think the biggest innovation that we have been involved in so far to date is the energy storage. That has been very disruptive, and we got also international acclaim for it. So it's been still very much a very modern and the asset. I mean, we're still in the beginning stages of learning how to deal with that energy transition and how you can imagine that we have a 3 megawatt energy storage consisting out of the 150 car batteries, right? So what happens if, and we have a parking of 2,000 people, of 2,000 cars under the venue. So what if many of these cars become electric and could connect to the energy storage, in fact, are part of our energy storage. So then suddenly your energy storage becomes much bigger. You can run the entire event on the energy that cars drive to the venue and bring to the venue. And so, I mean, it's almost beyond imagination what that means and how that will change the society also. Because that means that if you drive to the venue, you could say, well, I could sell part of my energy in my car battery to the venue so that they can use it, and I get something in return, whatever that is, So, I mean, super interesting, very complex, very new, with all kinds of new partners. So it also helps us to engage with energy suppliers, grid operators, complete new partners that were previously not in our ecosystem.
Sander, we've got over 350 people registered for this webinar. Maybe some of them are working in stadiums or are working in technology to implement in new stadia. So I would ask you to close the session for stadium managers who would like to implement innovation, but don't have the capability or possibilities of the Johan Cruyff ArenA. Where should they start from?
I think a clear vision where you want to go to is important, and I definitely offer our help also to to drink a cup of coffee together and see if we can support in some kind of way to help shape that approach, because it's a very difficult question, of course, and it will be very different for each and every situation. But a vision where you want to go to and an ambition are fundamental. And well, as said, and we offer our help to whomever is interested.
Okay, Sander. So yeah, we've been more than an hour talking about Stadio and your innovation program. So I appreciate your time. Thank you very much for your explanation.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
And so we wish you the best for this match and for the future. And I would like also to thank everyone for participating. I just want to remind that in the next few minutes, everybody will receive a link with the webinar recording, and then they can watch it again if they like. And we will keep you updated on new sessions. As always, you will find all the information in the virtual campus and in our social media channels. So thank you very much for your participation, and see you soon. Thanks, Sander.
Okay, you're welcome. Bye-bye.
Bye.